want to talk a little bit about journaling, because not the first time I'm gonna say this, but from time to time I get a feeling that you guys are struggling, not because you don't know how the markets book, you don't know how the markets work, but you're struggling because you don't have data and you don't know what actually works for you, what doesn't, and what is a good setup for you and what isn't, in a way. So I want to talk about journaling. Kind of want to mention it in a way as the, let's say, fastest way of growing for you, fastest way of improving. Because if you can collect data, if you can journal, if you have something to come back to, you can always improve and you can always find things to work on, right? And so yeah, I think journaling like non-stop, as your life depends on it, is one of the fastest ways of growing for you guys. And question for you in a way, I know some of you guys that are in here trade and trade active. So do you journal? You don't have to answer, but do you? What do you journal? When do you journal? What about do you journal? What do you keep track of? Do you see any correlations between what do you put down in writing and what happens throughout the day, throughout the session and stuff? Just food for thought, right? So for journaling itself, I kind of use a paid app that you really don't need. It's not necessary, but I just like paying for things that I enjoy and I use, right? And so I use Day One. It's a paid app, which is totally an S tier, but I use Day One to journal. Keep track of quite a few things, but I always start with a journal that is on paper. Right here. I actually bought it in Thailand. I do it every year when I kind of reset my year while I was going abroad. Sitting down in a cafe, writing down my thoughts, my feelings, what I'm looking at, what are my goals. There's a goal of 1 million funded trader written down for me on the first page, which I'm always there. Some of the goals just say a traveler and a happy, smiling human being, which I'm always there as well, right? But on paper, I always put down 3 very important things that I do every day, which is a few things about my health. I know things about my well-being, and I know things about relationships. That, at least in my mind, relationships are one of the most important things in the world. So in terms of health, at the moment, I'm tracking 2 things. I'm tracking my sugar intake, because I'm really trying not to eat any added sugar, which very much helps with my energy levels, which very much helps with me staying up to the standard that I want to be at throughout the day. It also kind of just helps me to eat clean and feel good. And I also note how many workouts I do per day. So I really try to do, let's say, 1.5 workout per day, which is a small stretching, small body weight session in the morning to start the day. And then I really want to do a proper workout of either going for a run or really going into the gym. Started jiu-jitsu training. Keep track of that. And then those 2 things, sugar and workouts, I really see a tendency of when I do them, I'm good, feeling fresh and all that good stuff. When I don't, days become slower and it all kind of comes back into my performance and training. Paper journal as well, I track my well-being. Kind of try to change it month in, month out. I'm tracking meditation. I'm really trying to meditate every day, at least 3-5 minutes, sometimes 20. Things happen, you know? So I'm tracking how much I meditate. Have a small to-do list. So there's a YouTuber called Ali Abdal that I very much like. He calls it not a to-do list, but he calls it a daily highlight. So I always, every day, try to note something that would be a daily highlight for me. If I achieve it, highlight my day, right? Today, for example, I have a daily highlight which says, talk about journaling, which I'm doing. I kind of try to keep track of where my mental capital goes in terms of active and passive capital. So active capital, for example, is trading, right? I show up, I have to do the work and stuff like that. Passive capital is stuff that kind of I have to worry about. It usually tends to go around the businesses I do and the team I manage and stuff like that. So meditation, to-do lists, all go on paper. I try to keep track of projects that I'm focusing on paper as well. And one more thing that I always note is do it in like small boxes. I always note if I spend time focusing on the relationship today, which is a nice habit to have. But yeah, so I try to journal about relationships, where I really try to talk to somebody, know somebody, really spend time focused on building a relationship. And so that goes on paper, and that I do in my, let's say, sacred mornings. I really try to find time every morning to journal, write down. I have 2 more journals on day 1, and kind of Discord now, where I try to write to you guys every single day as well, where I do journaling about trading. So yeah, in the day 1 and in Discord as well, you kind of notice that as well. Day in, day out, I do 2 types of journal. One is journal that I kind of call trading journal, that is pre-market, and the other journal is trading journal during/after market. So during the journal that I do pre-market, I note quite a hefty list of things. I'm not gonna open it up just so I wouldn't start reading it, but every time before I sit down to stream or just trade on my own, I put in written form the weekly outlook itself. So what kind of calendar events we're looking to face, what kind of power of 3 delivery we're looking at, whether I want to see, like today, Tuesday, to be delivering the high of the day, of the week, for example, right? Tuesday high of the week, yes. Just like an example, right? And third thing I do immediately as well, I look for market maker models. Whether I'm looking for the market to sell off because it's in a premium, or whether I'm looking for the market to kind of push to the upside because we're in a discount. So yeah, then I always put in writing so I don't get distracted during the market opening itself, right? I don't want to be reactive to the market, I want to be proactive. So I always note main key levels in terms of liquidity pools, double tops, double bottoms, equal highs, equal lows. And also I want to note key levels in terms of fair value, whether it is equilibrium, premium, discount, whether it is fair value gaps, even volume imbalance, especially on daily chart. So weekly outlook, main key levels in terms of liquidity, main key levels in terms of fair value and inefficiencies. And then I do 2 things in, like, so those things go quickly in, because those are just numbers, pum 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 pum, numbers, and like reference points, sometimes screenshots, or sometimes I draw it by hand. But then I do 2 things that are more in a written form, that are a little bit longer to get filled, let's say, where I write down my expectations, saying, okay, just like I do during this, before the market opens with you guys, what is my expectation? What do I want to see market deliver? What do I want to see market do? What kind of signature move I'm expecting? For example, signature move, YouTube 2022, I want to see it happening, right? Sometimes I say that. Why do I say that? I don't come in here and then talk random stuff to you guys. That would be just crazy in a way. I kind of come in here prepared because I have everything written down in terms of what I want to see the market delivering. So weekly outlook, main key levels in terms of liquidity, volume imbalances, fair value gap, inefficiencies, my expectations in written form, and then key signature like moves that I'm expecting to see or the market might do. Right? That is pre-market. Very important. Why? Because that allows me to be proactive. That allows me to have expectation. That allows me kind of to know what the market will do as well. Very, very important concept. And finally, it allows me to think about conviction and think about good habits and think about just working with the price and not chasing profits and not chasing winners or anything like that. Personal reflections about the price kind of go into the paper form usually, because usually those are feeling based, not precision based, not technical things. And third part of journal that see happening day in, day out on Discord as well is what I journal after the trade. But majority of it is about what I feel during it. Every time I log a trade, so for example, we took 2 trades today, I'm gonna through the stream, sit down and focus up and punch in a lot of lines into a big Excel sheet. And their main information is about security that I traded, time of day that I traded it. Then I note entry model, whether I used SMT into inversion, whether I used a breaker block, whether I used YouTube 22, whatever setup, right? I know that. Always I note sell, stop, take profit, partials, but not in terms of price and numbering it, but in terms of percentage gain or loss. Then, very key thing that I do is every time before I open the trade, why when I open the trade, you always hear my keyboard making noises, because I log what kind of emotion I feel. Whether I'm worried, whether I'm excited, whether I don't feel anything, whether I know it will pan out, and stuff like that, right? So I know the emotion that I feel. And then I have 2 very interesting columns that I note, which I write down time. How long it took before the trade to pan out, or how long did it take before the trade hit my stop loss. Stop loss usually is about 2 to 3 minutes actually. So yeah, 2 time windows that I always keep track of. And third time window that I keep track of is kind of called my thinking is, and I mean by that is I keep a track of how much time it took before I kind of got worried about the trade I took, right? Meaning that how quickly I noticed that it's a bad idea, how quickly I noticed the break structure, how quickly I noticed that we're just gonna consolidate like we are. That's what I said until 11 o'clock. I'm not interested to touch this, right? Feels good not to be in this, doesn't it? So yeah, I note how much time it took for the trade to pan out and hit my partial, how much time it took to hit my profit. Then there's one more column about closing the trade. So there I need to put down a reason why I closed it, whether it was just a hit of take profit, whether I got scared, whether I got distracted, whether I saw an SMT. And by the end of it all, you should be taking a lot of notes here. The most important thing about the trade I took, I note, is whether it was high resistance or low resistance liquidity run. Example, this short right here, bam, it happened in 1, 2, 3, 4 candles. Low resistance liquidity run. It went in sharp, quickly. And I want to know about trades like this because I want to review them. I want to execute them day in, day out. Trade like this, for example, would, even if it goes to the sell side below here, that would be high resistance liquidity runs. Those trades I don't want to put. And when I see a list of high resistance and low resistance liquidity runs and trades I participated in, I always want to find trades like this instead of this. And this very much helped me to kind of know whether my entry is gonna be good or not. We humans, we tend not to remember things, and taking notes and reviewing them is the best way of learning stuff. 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but that's my rant about journaling. I kind of wanted to talk about it so I can